Welcome to Mishna study Masachet Terumot Perek Vav Mishna He. Over here in this Mishnah, we're going to discuss a person needs to pay back Teruma. So we mentioned if a person's, if he ate Teruma by mistake, right? He stole or he ate Teruma by mistake, and now he needs to go back and pay back. He has to pay back we said the principal, right? If he ate by mistake, a principal and a fixed. So where is he allowed to pay back this money from? It needs to come from him. It needs to come from his pocket. It can't come from someone else's money. And therefore, you're not allowed to pay back from leket shecham pi'ah. That belongs to aniyim. You can't pay back your debts from their money. So it needs to come from you. You're not allowed to pay back from hefker either, right? Something that's ownerless. Right? Even if you go ahead and take it for yourself, you're not allowed to use that to pay back Teruma. Nor from ma'aser rishon, whose Teruma was taken from it, right? The Levi already separated his Terumat ma'aser. He took it. You're not allowed to go ahead and pay back from this ma'aser rishon either. Right? You're not allowed to pay back from ma'aser sheni or hekdesh. Right, Maaser Sheni that you're going to eat in Jerusalem, or Hekdesh, something you designated, you donated to the Beit HaMikdash, and you redeemed it, right? So now you turn it back to Hulin. You're not allowed to go ahead and use these to pay back. She'en HaKodesh podeh et HaKodesh, Divrei Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir says, because Kodesh cannot go back, you're not allowed to go ahead and pay back, right, or pay back with other sanctified money, according to Rabbi Meir. Chachamim matirim ba'elu, and Chachamim allow these. Now, what are these? What are we talking about over here? Right? So you could go ahead and explain. It's going back to the whole Mishnah, everything that we discussed. Rambam over here says, right, in the Pirush Mishnah, he says, we're talking about these, Kavanato b'ma'aser sheni ve'hekdesh sheniftu, specific to the last, two cases, right? Ma'aser sheni and hekdesh that were redeemed. Why? Because after they were redeemed, even though they were redeemed, kalacha, right? Even though they weren't redeemed kalacha, you're allowed to use them to pay. Now, Rabbi Meir says because they weren't nifdu kalacha, right? They're still considered kodesh. So the argument over here is if they were redeemed, they weren't redeemed, precisely as they were supposed to kalacha. Are you allowed to use it or not? Now, before I continue reading Hanabam, I assume that we're talking about. Right, Maaser Sheni ve'hekdesh shenifdu. If you remember in the Mishnah in Berachot, we spoke about you let him do zimun, with someone who ate Maaser Sheni ve'hekdesh shenifdu or shelo nifdu. So we said if it was nifdu, right, we said you're allowed to. If it was shelo nifdu, you weren't allowed to. And remember over there we said shenifdu was redeemed. But it was redeemed that you didn't pay the additional fifth. I thought that's how Hanabam was going to explain over here, but he doesn't, and I'm not sure why. But he says over here that the Perush Maaser Sheni ve'hekdesh that were redeemed, he said they were redeemed and shelo kehalacha. In what sense? That you redeemed it on asimon, right? Asimon is a coin that doesn't have a tzura, doesn't have a the king's face on it, right? It's just a little like a slice of silver, right? A slice of gold. Right? It's not a brick of gold, right? It's not considered a coin. It's not something that's transferable. It's just weight, right? So that wouldn't count. You can't be podeh something like that at all. It doesn't work, right? Or hekdesh, right? Let's say you redeemed hekdesh on real estate, on karka, on land, right? That doesn't count at all. So therefore, Rabbi Meir says that it wouldn't count, and Chachamim allow over here, and halacha is like Chachamim. I would just point out over here. So halacha is a Chachamim. So what should the law be? The law should be that you're not allowed to use leket, shicha, pe'ah, hefker, not maaser rishon. But when it comes to maaser sheni hekdesh, that you redeemed, right? Even though you didn't redeem it appropriately, rather you only did it on a simon or on land or the hekdesh on karka, that would still work. Right, that's what halacha should come out according to Chachamim. But in the Mishneh Torah, Rambam is posek. What does he say? He says, "Mishalimin min haleket min hape'ah min ha'hefker u'maaser sheni shenitlat terumato." You're allowed to pay from the altar of the first one. So it seems like, right, Chachamim are arguing on the entire Mishnah. Right, so it's a different pirush. Right, it's interesting how he explains the Mishnah differently. We have to understand the Mishnah differently based on the way he's posek halacha in the Mishneh Torah, as opposed to how he explained it over here. And you have to say he's chozerbo. Interesting, right? In Yerushalmi, there's a machlok between Rabbi Yochanan and Resh Lakish, where Rabbi Yochanan says that Chachamim argued on the whole Mishnah, and Resh Lakish said it was really towards for the last items. And it seems like in the Mishneh Torah, Rambam is posek like Rabbi Yochanan, and he says Chachamim matirim be'elu, that he allows everything, right, that's mentioned in this Mishnah.